burning eyes. On the floor a red stone carpet, worn by every bowed down knee. Air is thick with fading incense and the taste of irony. Everywhere the courtiers murmur has been polished, weighed and staged, but beneath their careful phrases, something trapped begins to shake. In the halls of whispered crowns, nothing's ever loud. Every order comes in murmurs, every lie is wrapped in vows. In the halls of whispered crowns, truth is just a ghost, drifting through the velvet curtains that they fear to welcome most. If you listen past the speeches to the breathing in the walls, you could hear a different kingdom in the halls of whispered crowns. On the ceiling gilded stories show a history of might, victories in golden armor, never showing those who died. Yet between the cracks and plaster, faint new murals start to bloom, shadows of the nameless workers who've been edited from rooms. Power speaks in quiet volumes, hoping no one hears the cost, but the silence grows unstable when too many hearts are lost. In the halls of whispered crowns, nothing's ever loud. Every order comes in murmurs, every lie is wrapped in vows. In the halls of whispered crowns, truth is just a ghost, drifting through the velvet curtains that they fear to welcome most. If you listen past the speeches to the breathing in the walls, you can hear a different kingdom in the halls of whispered crowns. I walk softly past the statues, hide a recorder in the stone, let it swallow every secret, every tremor in their tone. One day all these hushed decrees will be played for everyone, and the whispers they relied on will become a starting gun. In the halls of whispered crowns, echoes start to rise, all the muttered polished phrases sharpen into battle cries. In the halls of whispered crowns, carpets start to shake as the voices they suppressed begin to bend the marble shape. When the day of revelation finally circles back around, they'll regret the things they whispered.
City square of polished stone, statues lined like frozen thrones. Every hero, every lord, captured mid-eternal roar. Children play around their feet, vendors shout along the streets. Yet beneath the marble shine runs a hum out of in time. There's a rhythm in the pavement, not in step with marching boots, like a buried choir humming underneath the marble roots. Voice beneath the marble, singing low and deep, carried in the hidden fractures where the cracks are trying to breathe. Voice beneath the decisions. Tell the story those in charge want the people to remember, want the mist to loom so large. But the ground recalls the marching of the ones who had no names. Boot heels, shackles, weary sandals, all impress their quiet claims. Every footprint left a syllable. The statues never speak, but together they compose a song that shakes the ruling seat. Voice beneath the marble, singing low and deep, carried in the hidden fractures where the cracks are trying to breathe. Voice beneath the marble, older than the crown, waiting for a living language that can bring this empire down. If we press our ears to stone and really hear its careful plea, we might find the pulse of freedom that was left for you and me. So I lie down in the plaza, ignore guards who shout my name, place my hands upon the flooring, feel the chorus in my veins. Then I rise and start to echo what the stone has sung for years. Words the rulers call sedition, but the people call sincere. Voice beneath the marble, swelling into shouts. Every cobblestone now beating with the truths they shut without. Voice beneath the marble, no more underground. Every time we dare to speak it, one more statue loses ground. When the colonnades are shaking and the polished walls release, they will know the buried music finally found its missing piece.
They declared a grand assembly for the glory of the state. Filled the square with screens and banners, set the stage and sealed the gates. Citizens were told to gather, stand in rows by colored tier. Sing the anthem when we signal, show the world you have no fear. But when the conductor raised his baton in the icy air, something in the crowd resisted something heavy in their chest. Choirs of the silent square, lips that will not move, throats that swallow every lyric they were ordered to approve. Choirs of the silent square, standing like a wall, saying more with what they don't sing than with any shouted call. When 1,000 voices choose to offer nothing to the throne, silence is a raging anthem screaming, we are not your own. Camera lenses on the towers waited for the perfect shot of a nation in compliance, giving thanks for what it's got. But the first row kept their mouths shut, second row did just the same. Soon the only sound was trembling in the broadcast tower frame. Officials hiss through hidden speakers, sing or face the coming cost. Yet the terror in their warning showed they knew they'd almost to offer, nothing to the throne. Silence is a raging anthem screaming, we are not your own. I step forward with a single note that isn't from their score. Sing of names they never mention, sing of wounds they still ignore. Soon the crowd begins to answer, not with perfect unity, but with roaring broken verses full of honest dissonance. Choirs of the silent square shatter into song. No more pretty stage devotion to a system built on wrong. Choirs of the silent square find their rough refrain. Every off-key liberation puts a crack in iron chains. When the footage hits the networks, no one sees a peaceful scene. They see people taking back the right to choose what freedom means.
Stands a needle made of glass. Black steel veins run up its spine like a frozen lightning blast. Every night at 2000, all the channels click as one. Every speaker, every screen becomes the voice that weighs a ton. They call it guidance for the people, call it news you need to know. Carved in granite in a room with zero windows. Broadcasts from the Black Tower pouring through the streets. Flood of silver-coated phrases telling us what we should be. Broadcasts from the Black Tower echo in our heads, trying to replace our memories with their curated regrets. But we've learned to hear the glitch behind the polished steady sound, and we're building hidden stations that can turn the signal round. Anchors smile with perfect posture, eyes like painted porcelain. Every word they sell as certain tastes like rust to those within. We're the text behind the curtain, patching wires, flipping feeds. And we've copied every segment, stored the cuts they hope to bleed. In the static between slogans leaves a chaos they can't see. That's the space we'll use to smuggle in a different frequency. Broadcast from the Black Tower pouring through the streets. Flood of silver-coated phrases telling us what we should be. Broadcast from the Black Tower echo in our heads, trying to replace our memories with their curated regrets. But we've learned to hear the glitch behind the polished steady sound, and we're building hidden stations that can turn the signal round. One night when the anthem starts, we inject a different track. Footage from the silent square plays across the empire map. All the lies they've told for decades shake upon their golden throne as the people see their neighbors black tower fractures into shards. Every tower, every rooftop suddenly becomes our yard. No more single voice above us claiming it alone knows right. Now 1,000 rebel channels flicker into life at night. When the black tower finally crumbles under all the truth it feared, we'll remember how we hijacked what they thought they commandeered.
From floodlights, where the cameras rarely turn, live the ones without a census, without names on any urn. Workers of the hidden sectors, carrying a city's weight, never in the parade's marching, never on the palace gate. When the empire sings of glory, they're not mentioned like an afterthought, erased from every triumph they rehearse. This is the anthem for the unheard, rising from below. For the hands that built the towers, no one cares to really know. Anthem for the unheard, loud and unrefined. Every line a scratched out number turned into a living sign. If the empire won't acknowledge all the lives it pushed aside, we will write them into history with an amplified reply. There's a nurse on double duty, there's a miner breathing dust, there's a janitor at midnight wiping up the leader's rust. There's a mother in a stairwell singing just to drown her fear that a child will grow up knowing they are less than those up there. We recur their weary stories, loop them through distorted chords, turn their ordinary suffering into something like a sword. This is the anthem for the unheard, rising eyes below. For the hands that built the towers, no one cares to really know. Anthem for the unheard, loud and unrefined. Every line a scratched out number turned into a living sign. If the empire won't acknowledge all the lives it pushed aside, we will write them into history with an amplified reply. When we play it from the rooftops, some will sneer and call it noise, but the ones who share its burden hear their own forgotten voice, and they start to sing it back in the markets, on the trams, till the silence of their decade turns to thunder in the dams. Anthem for the unheard shakes the palace glass. Every
to censor what we've learned. We will keep this song as proof the voiceless finally were heard.
They rebuilt the central chamber after every failed revolt. Added speakers to the ceiling, turned the podium to a bolt. Now when council days are opened, amps ignite with practiced roar, drowning out the small objections, trampling questions on the floor. They believe that sheer volume makes their fragile logic strong, but a shouted hollow slogan is still just an empty song. Shatter the loudest throne, break the speaker's crown, turn their blaring declarations into feedback crashing down. Shatter the loudest throne, prove with quiet hands that the power they project is built on paper, not on plans. We don't need to scream like tyrants just to show we're not alone. We can bring a system down and still speak softly to the bone. We slip in as lowly staffers with our cables and our crates, hide resistors in the wiring, mask our hacks as routine checks. On the day of grand address, when the leader takes the stage, every outlet in the city waits to drink this orchestrated rage. But we've tuned the hidden circuits to a frequency of truth, ready to invert their thunder with a single simple move. Shatter the loudest throne, break the speaker's crown, turn their blaring declarations into feedback crashing down. Shatter the loudest throne, prove with quiet hands that the power they project is built on paper, not on plans. We don't need to scream like tyrants just to show we're not alone. We can bring a system down and still speak softly to the bones. When he shouts his first commandment, microphones begin to squeal, not with anger but confession of the lies they help conceal. Clips of censored bloody footage flood the screens he meant to rule. Every word he tries to utter drowns beneath the visual. Shatter the loudest throne, let the echo fade. All that's left when sound is stripped away is what we really made. Shatter the loudest throne, leave an empty chair. We will talk in smaller circles, make decisions that are fair. If we ever build another hall where choices must be shown, let the softest voice be counted next to those who once droned. unseen.
Every street a channel carrying copies of the same routine, but the signals cracked and scattered through the wires and the stone. Now 1,000 different voices flow where once there was just one. We are standing in the ruins of a script that used to bind, yet the air is full of music, not controlled by any mind. Empire of echoes crumbling into sound. All the slogans, all the secrets bouncing back from common ground. Empire of echoes finally hearing clear, not just what the rulers wanted, but what people really feel. If the future builds another realm from everything we've known, let it be a chorus, not a single brittle throne. In the markets, in the tunnels, songs are traded night and day. Some are angry, some are grieving, some are wild and some just pray. No one owns a final version, no one writes the only line. Every echo reshapes meaning, every harmony refines. It's not chaos, it's a fabric woven out of real lives, strong because it keeps adjusting as each honest voice arrives. Empire of echoes crumbling into sound. All the slogans, all the secrets bouncing back from common ground. Empire of echoes finally hearing clear, not just what the rulers wanted, but what people really feel. If the future builds another realm from everything we've known, let it be a chorus, not a single brittle throne. We could use this newfound freedom just to shout and never hear, or we choose to treat each echo as a message to revere. So we listen when we answer, we reflect before we shout. Turn the volume into dialogue, not a constant, mindless route. Empire of echoes hum beneath our feet, not a cage of forced compliance, but a net that helps us meet. Empire of echoes, may you never freeze. Keep on shifting with the people, keep on bending with their needs. If one day we lose this balance and a tyrant claims the sound, may our oldest, truest echoes rise again from underground. From underground. When the shouting finally tapered, when the towers all went dim, when the last distorted playback faded into distant wind, we were left with something fragile, just our breathing and the rain. No more orders in the static, no more hymns to hide our pain. In the quiet after thunder, every nervous heart could hear all the questions we've been drowning. Now we're whispering, we're here. After the last reverberation, not to nurse a thirst for vengeance, but to prove how far we've crawled. When the children ask what happens if we let one voice rule